Welcome to 15 Minutes. I'm Lauren Green, and this is our exclusive interview with Solomon Northup. Northup was born on July 10, 1808. Born a free man, he was lured south and kidnapped in 1841. He was enslaved for more than a decade and was freed in 1853. Northup wrote his biography in order to give a true account of the hardships of slavery. He's here today with his wife to tell his story and answer questions. Please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Solomon Northup. Thank you for joining us, Mr. and Mrs. Northup. In your story, you lived in New York but were captured in the South. How did you end up there?
Well, I got offered a job traveling in the circus. One night, I fell ill and I woke up in a dark room. A strange man insisted that I was not a free man and beat me up when I disagreed.
Of your three owners, which was the worst, and do you have a memorable experience from them?
My third owner, Epps, was a carpenter, and my worst owner. At one point, I was forced to whip a fellow slave, Patsy. Another memorable moment was my second owner, Ty Beats, when he tried to kill me for something that wasn't my fault.
And how was coping with missing your husband at home?
We were completely distraught, and we just had hope that he would come home one day.
How did you feel when you were finally liberated?
At first, I didn't know what was going on because when I sent the letter, it was a long while ago since I sent that letter with Sam Bass up north, and I lost all hope since then. And once I figured out what was happening, I was overjoyed. I thought about my family and how I was going to see them again, how my kids were and how my wife was, and it was unspeakable how happy I was. It was amazing. I was overjoyed.
It's very touching.
I know.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. and Mrs. Northup.
No problem.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. and Mrs. Northup.
No problem.
After the break, we talked to the slave owners that Northup encountered during his journey.
Hello, I am author Anne Rand. My latest novel is Anthem. Anthem is a dystopian story about a man named Equality. Equality works as a street sweeper who believes his life was cursed. Eventually, later on in the story, he falls in love with a girl named Liberty. To read more about their journey into the mountains, pick up your copy of Anthem from your local bookstore today. Thank you for the continuous support. I hope you enjoyed the book as much as I enjoyed writing it.
Now let's welcome the slave owners.
Ooh.
Ty Beats, Epps, Birch, and Ford. Ty Beats. You bought Northup in winter of 1842. A couple months later, you had an argument and tried to kill him. Why kill him instead of just selling him?
At the moment, I did it solely out of anger. I wasn't thinking, and at that point, I'd rather have him dead than sold to another man.
Epps. Northup was freed while he was considered your slave. What was going through your mind when all of this was happening?
I personally was very unhappy that he had escaped, and I felt that I would rather him have been dead and he shouldn't have been free because he was very loyal to me.
Birch. Now knowing what you know, can you think of any times when you had suspicions of him being a free man?
Northup was very educated and polite and loyal. He just didn't act like the average slave.
And finally, Ford. Why did you try so hard to buy Eliza's daughter Emily when you were buying Northup?
As a slave owner, I've seen many families separated, and it's just something the way Eliza had stressed towards her daughter. She was fighting for her life, and all she cared about was her daughter. And knowing I could have separated her, I wouldn't have been able to live with that.
Now we're bringing Solomon in for a confrontation with the slave owners.
Ooh.
Do you guys have any words you'd like to share with Northup?
Am I going first? I'm sorry, I did not realize you were a free man.
I guess I can say I'm sorry for what I put you through, but you deserved it, quite frankly.
You're pretty intelligent.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that you were a free man as well.
Those are some kind words you have for Northup.
That doesn't mean I.
After the break, we talk with Solomon's lawyer and the other man who helped save him, Bass. But first, a commercial from our sponsor, Walden Water.
Today's episode of 15 Minutes is brought to you by Walden Water. Walden Water is natural filtered pond water from Walden Pond in Concord, Massachusetts. Walden Water is a trademark of Henry David Thoreau. Walden Water is made by philosophers for philosophers and is sold at all of the local grocery stores. Pick up your case of Walden Water today. By thinkers, for thinkers.
Now let's welcome Henry Northup and Bass. Bass, why did you stay so loyal to Northup when you were helping him secretly escape his life of slavery?
Well, I had wanted to help him out originally, but then I was unable to, and I just knew from when I met him and I had heard his story that he should have been a free man, and it wasn't fair the way he was treated. So I felt compelled to help him out.
Henry Northup, how did you find out that your nephew Solomon was sold into slavery?
I had received a letter from Sam Bass that my nephew Solomon was sold into slavery, and it took a while for the letter to get from Louisiana to New York, and as soon as I found out that he was down there, I took off and tried to catch him.
Solomon, how did you decide that you were going to put your trust in Bass?
Well, I was hesitant at first because I was betrayed once by another worker that I confided a letter in, but that didn't work out very well. At first I realized what a hard-working man Bass was, and he was slowly gaining my trust as we worked closely together on Epps plantation.
Okay, thank you.
Are you a Jane Austen fan? Do you often find yourself at a loss for words? Look no further. The pocket-sized What Would Jane Do quote book is your cup of tea. Jane's got your back for every relationship quandary you may encounter. Sold at your local bookstores.
How does it feel to be a free man?
Well, being able to walk around with a permission slip from your slave owner brings on a whole new meaning of life. I no longer take things for granted.
Well, that's very great. We're so happy that you are finally a free man. You can pick up a signed copy of 12 Years a Slave from our website for only $7.99. Thank you for joining us on 15 Minutes tonight, Mr. Solomon Northup.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
Woo!
Thank you for joining us on tonight's episode of 15 Minutes. Join us next week for our episode on a tour of Henry David Thoreau's Concord, Massachusetts cabin. I'm Lauren Green, signing off.
Thank you for watching this evening's episode of 15 Minutes, the 12 Years a Slave Solomon Northup special. If you're interested in purchasing a copy of 12 Years a Slave, please visit our website, www.15minutes.com, or call now to purchase your signed copy by Solomon Northup of 12 Years a Slave. Thank you again for watching this evening. Now calling all Ernest Hemingway connoisseurs.
If you love Ernest Hemingway, you'll love the new collector's bundle. Included in the bundle are Farewell to Arms, The Snows of Kilimanjaro, and the Nick Adams stories. To receive this one-of-a-kind limited time offer, please visit www.hemingway.net or call 1-800-THE-WAY. You'll be paying easy payments of $9.99 for these 3 exceptional stories. Don't hesitate to call. If you call in the next 10 minutes, you'll receive a free Ernest Hemingway mug. And don't forget, as Ernest Hemingway once said, when you stop doing things for fun, you might as well be dead.